Hi, I'm Dustin, and this show is all about interviewing people who have successfully gotten into the collection of industries of gaming, esports, influencer management, streaming services, YouTube, and more. This interview is with Ara Leo Messerlian, who has had a long time career on the agency side, representing major brands like Lexus, Genesis, Mercedes-Benz, and he recently served as Cloud9's Senior Manager of Marketing Partnerships. Enjoy. Ara, how's it going?
It's going great. Thanks a lot, Dustin.
Awesome. Well, I just want to thank you for being on here. I feel like you would be a great resource for people who really want to break into the industry, whether it's esports or the agency side. And I feel like you've done a whole lot on both ends of those things, especially working with Cloud9 and a lot of these major organizations who were clients on the agency side. So yeah, thanks so much for being here.
Yeah, absolutely. It's a pleasure. Thank you for asking me to be here, and happy to be a resource and provide insights, from my experience, and however I can provide valuable information, especially to people, starting out of college or kind of just looking to make a career transition. Definitely excited to provide any sort of information that I can.
Awesome. Great. Well, let's just jump into the questions that I've got for you. And so the first one is, can you share a quick history on your background and how you ended up getting into esports/gaming?
Yeah, absolutely. My background prior to Cloud9, I was working on the agency side, managing various brand accounts such as Lexus or Cricket Wireless or Mercedes-Benz or Genesis, and working with these brands and helping them develop their sponsorship portfolios and negotiating with various properties and creating activation plans and executing those activations. And I was looking to move to the team and property side of the sports world, and looking at the landscape of what was available. And I saw esports as a place back in 2018 that was big, but still not quite to where it is today. And I thought there was an interesting niche to create for myself, for someone that had my background. And honestly, I think some of it had to do right place, right time. But I think my background and providing the service that I did to big brands, and what Cloud9 was doing, and working with some big brands and new brands that they were going to bring on to their sponsorship portfolio. I think there was some good synergy there. And so even though I may not have a true endemic gaming background myself, or really having much of an esports knowledge or background prior to Cloud9, I think there was just some consistencies with my background and what they were looking for. And I think just I had worked hard to develop my background and resume, and I think it just matched up with what they were looking for and the timing. And so I was fortunate enough to join, obviously, a top tier one, esports team and organization globally.
Nice. That's awesome. Well, thanks for really breaking that down so people really kind of have this overview in terms of where you've been and what you've done. So the next question we have here is, what are some of the biggest skills you've built to be successful in the roles that you've held?
I would say the number one skill is relationship management. I think anytime you're working in the service sector, which at the end of the day, that's what we're doing on the agency side, or that's what we're doing even on the team side. You're providing a service to another company or to whoever it may be. And so I think it's just building and cultivating those relationships, I think is the biggest key and skill set. I think outside of that, it's communication, being a strong communicator, whether it's responsiveness and detailed in your email and presentations and calls and follow-ups, and just making sure, especially on the account side, you are kind of the glue person. So it's really ensuring projects are moving forward. You're working with all your internal stakeholders and keeping your clients and partners up to date on what's going on, problem solving. So I think those are some of the key ones right there. So I'd say relationship building, communication, I would say being very thorough and detailed in your just day-to-day work. I take a lot of pride in being very thorough in all my communication, whether it's with folks internally, whether it's people directly in my team, whether it's with my clients or partners. I think making sure, sometimes you have to deliver, hopefully most of the time you deliver good news and great updates, but sometimes you have to deliver bad news and tough updates to folks. I think just being transparent and, being able to figure out the right way to approach that and being thorough and detailed, I think just goes a long way, and people appreciate that. So I'd say definitely the top three skill sets that I think I have seen work are relationship building and cultivation, communication, and being thorough and detailed.
Awesome. I feel like that's definitely kind of me being a little bit on the account management side and working with brands. Some that is, I can definitely agree with those points for sure. So yeah, it's cool how relatable and some of these skills, these soft skills are in terms of being transferable across different roles and whatnot. And so,
and I think on top of that, I think it's just, having a business curiosity. I think more than anything, just thinking, whether it's outside the box. I know it's a cliche term, but thinking outside the box, just being a problem solver at the end of the day, because usually there's something that always pops up that just doesn't go according to plan. So it's figuring out alternate solutions and being a problem solver for your clients or your brands, I think is really key as well. So just having that business curiosity and just a strong business acumen is also just an important component of being successful in these types of roles.
Yeah, I've been in a spot where I've had to deal with a lot of things that are generally outside of the job description, and being able to figure out a game plan in your head on how you're going to approach that problem and systematically following all the steps that you think may work in order to come to a solution is definitely up there.
Yeah, it's funny you say that. I'd say 75% of what I dealt with on a daily basis was probably outside of what would be like on a written job description. And I think that's just the nature of the way that just things run. They're just new opportunities that come up, or workarounds you have to come up with. Obviously, with the latest stuff that's happening with COVID, that's not written in any job description. So it's thinking quickly on your feet and brainstorming with your team on figuring out alternate methods of how you're going to bring activations and the brands to life. And so I think it's just honestly, like wherever I've been, I feel like majority of the things you work on a daily basis tend to kind of fall outside the the job descriptions. But again, you just got to be nimble. You got to be able to adapt quickly, and just be ready to go. And I think if you have that mindset, you'll figure it out. You'll be successful.
Awesome. Great. That was a fantastic answer to that question. And so what I've got here for my third question is, which projects and achievements have you had that you're most proud of throughout your entire career?
I would say, I've worked on obviously in a lot of different areas with a lot of different brands and different companies. I would say just from a holistic standpoint, just having the opportunity to honestly work with, these big brands, anywhere from Fortune 5 to Fortune 500 companies, just that and alone in itself is a big kind of achievement and something that I'm proud of, having worked, with smaller startup type of entrepreneurial agencies and companies all the way to, larger, more established companies. So I think just having that breadth of experience and working in different areas, I think is a huge achievement. I'd say the one that really just stands out the most is just, going into an industry like esports where I'm not a gamer endemically. I didn't know much about it. And here I am now going into a role in a very, Cloud9 is a very big name from a brand standpoint in esports, and everyone globally that follows gaming and esports has heard of Cloud9. But, at the same time, they operate very lean, and they operate, very entrepreneurially. So you got to go in and figure things out on your own. So going into a new industry, not knowing much, going to go work with these big brands was a big undertaking, and one that I was able to, it took me a few months to kind of get into the swing of things, but I think, working with a brand like AT&T, for example, and launching a brand new endemic esports show, from the ground up, that was on our Twitch channel, on Cloud9's Twitch channel, a 30 episode, original programming and content talking about Cloud9 and esports in general, and figuring out, what the branding's going to look like, figuring out what the segments are going to look like, working with a production company on the talent and the hosts and just everything you can imagine, putting that together, and working on a narrative to help, bridge the gap between, what AT&T is doing and within the world of esports. I take definitely a lot of personal pride and passion in that particular project. And obviously there's a lot of people that contributed to that. And I'm very thankful, and I keep very good relationships with a lot of them. But I would say stepping into something outside of my comfort zone in an industry that I really didn't know much about, and, putting together some incredible campaigns and activations, with, like I said, brands like AT&T and Microsoft and Omen, which is the gaming brand for HP, and then obviously brands like HyperX and Logitech and Puma. So exciting stuff, and that's really where my biggest thing is. On the agency side, I would say, I was obviously, again, a team. Obviously, it's always a team collaboration, but helping orchestrate a partnership deal between Lexus and the Dodgers, especially when they had the ownership change back in 2000, I believe it was 2012. So, and having Lexus be a big partner of the Dodgers at that time, and so being a pivotal part of that process was something that I still hold near and dear to my heart to this day.
Wow, that must have been super serious for all of those projects, and especially with what you did with AT&T, the amount of production and organization and all of the juggling with all the different parties involved must have been a ton of work for you.
Yeah, of course it's a lot of work, but it takes a small but mighty army. Obviously, we had some great partners. We worked with AT&T's agency, Wasserman, who did an incredible job, and they were very helpful in moving things along, with the client at AT&T. And then internally, we had very strong content team, very strong production team, as well as creatives and graphic designers. Our social team played a key role in helping promote it. Great hosts like Monty, who's obviously big in the esports industry. But it all goes back to the stuff we were talking about earlier about the skill sets. It's about building those relationships. It's about being a strong communicator. It's about being very detailed and thorough in your approach, in your communication, in your project sheets, in terms of making sure everyone knows at all points of what's going on and keeping them abreast. And as the person that's managing that account, and on the account management side of things, you're looked upon as the glue. So it's really your job to navigate all those resources and keep the engine moving, as I like to say.
Nice, man. Yeah, it would be definitely cool sometime to hear a little bit more of some of the projects you've worked on in the past, but these really big ones they're definitely big. So it's I feel like anyone who's looking to have you on board would be very fortunate to be working with you for sure.
Yeah, like I said, I've been very fortunate to work at some great agencies with some great brands, and obviously my most recent experience at Cloud9 and working with these very highly visible brands and some big campaigns within the esports world that they're doing has been phenomenal, and something that I'll definitely look at as an opportunity to carry that over to my next position, and hopefully add that type of value to the next organization and position that I go to.
Awesome. I'm really excited to see where you're going to be landing next, because it's probably going to be pretty big. So I guess that we're down to the last question here, which is, if you're able to kind of set up or maybe get and because you've already covered it a little bit with some of the key skills with the communication and all that stuff. But this last question is, what are some important things about the industry that people should know if they want to get in and be successful?
Yeah, I mean, it just depends on, I think, what your angle is or where you're coming from. I think first and foremost, just like anybody that wants to get in the sports industry, esports is no different. At the end of the day, it's something that, of course, you're going to be passionate and excited about, but it's a business. It's about dollars and cents. So you've got to have that business mindset. Of course, it's nice to, geek out with other gamers and talk about gaming and be a part of that. But, it is a business, and you have to approach it like a business. And you have to approach everything that you do, the decisions that are made, just everything that goes into it. It's business. It's work. It's a job. So that's the approach you take. And I think, especially for younger folks that want to, get into it, that maybe game and you want to make a career out of it, I think it's really important to understand and differentiate, distinguish that, yes, it's something that I'm passionate and excited about in my personal time, but this is at the end of the day a business and it's work, and the brands or whoever are spending a lot of money here. We need to have that kind of professional approach. I would say that's first and foremost. I think the next thing is a lot of, again, I don't know why I keep referring to younger folks, but I just have a personal passion in grooming and mentoring younger folks that are, coming out of college or probably a few years out of college that are looking to continue to take the next steps in their career. I think an area that I've seen a lot of people maybe misstep is, or when they reach out to me, is they just say, I want to be in esports, or I want to work in marketing, or I want to work in this. And I think it's important to kind of understand where your area of discipline is and what your area of expertise is, and really hone in on that and show companies that's where the value you're going to bring is. So, saying I want to work in esports, it's just, what do you want to do there? Are you a content production person? Are you a social media expert? Do you work with influencers? Do you do sales? Do you sell partnerships? Do you manage partnerships? What is it specifically that you do? Are you in customer acquisition? So I think it's just important to hone in on your specific skill set, and then make sure that where you're going, you're showcasing and demonstrating your skill set, and that's the value you're going to bring. And I think that's going to be the key to landing your hopefully dream gig in esports. And I think another key thing is to know that you may not initially land your dream gig, but just understand that everything that you do is a step and a step and a step to getting where you want to go. So that would be my biggest advice, especially to younger folks that are looking to kind of break into the industry.
Awesome. That's perfect. I think I'm going to find a portion of that last part that you talked about. And I think that would be a perfect thing to start as the intro. You know how people, they usually clip a portion of a podcast and they put it in the beginning. I feel like what you said there is so powerful that I do want to add that to the very beginning of this conversation, just so people know what they can expect from this great chat we've had so far. So, Ara, I want to thank you so much for this time. And I know that you are working on some potential opportunities, but let's say that it turns out they need someone like you and they just didn't know that you just weren't on the radar before. What would be the best way for these folks to get in touch with you?
Yeah, obviously, I'd say my LinkedIn profile is probably my best, avenue to get in touch with me. I'm very active on LinkedIn. My LinkedIn profile pretty much mirrors my resume, so it'll provide a pretty in-depth background as to my experience, as well as I'm on there daily, so I check my messages. So I would say the good initial touch point would be through LinkedIn. And then from there, we can touch base and figure out a time to chat, and obviously connect through email and phone as well.
Awesome. Ara, thank you so much for chatting, and I hope you have an awesome rest of your week.
Awesome. Thanks for having me, Dustin.
All right. Take care. Have a good one.